All right. And let's talk about the big topic for today is how you guys raised $1.2 million for the Henriette Lake Houston that we were all part of. Now, whenever we talk about raising money, obviously it didn't just one day, here's a deal and boom, you raise that money, right? There's things that built up to that. And it's not, and the building up is not just for any one specific property, but for your entire business, for many properties. And so let's talk about some of the things that you do to build a foundation for your business, especially around capital raising. So share with us what are some of those things that you do on a daily, on a day-to-day basis to build your investor database, to nurture them, and then so we'll kind of go from building the investors, sort of branding, marketing yourself, building the investor database, nurturing those investors, and then finally asking them for the money. So we'll take our interview like kind of in that flow. Okay. We'll start with the marketing and the branding aspect of it. What are some of the things that you guys do around that?
I'll start with this one. Tim, I know you mentioned in the beginning of this interview, right? Like we've been kind of like working with you for 2 years now. So going back to the beginning, we were doing a lot of things, I think marketing wise, but it's a very confusing space because you never know what works, what not. It's not always easy to tell like what's effective if you have email going out, if you have social media posts, if you are doing events, all that stuff, right? And then you really, and we do a lot of things and we've been doing it for like a few years prior to starting working with you. But so we actually started working with Tim about 2 weeks, 2 years ago. And I think one thing that really kind of helped us to really like zoom in to focusing is like to be very intentional with our marketing strategy. Like, so we actually, try different programs. We've tried different, there's so many things out there. We used to use active campaign. We switched to go high level. That's all part of the transition. And to have a platform that is robust enough to kind of like incorporate a lot of different things. And I would say that's the biggest, fundamentally, like really start study the marketing, study the numbers, and understand what works, what's not, and look at everything. But I know Tiffany is really the brain behind all this, so she can speak more about that. But I want to mention that being part of your community was a big help in helping us with like focusing
Uh,
our marketing strategies.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So also too, like quickly share with us who plays what role within the organization, and then we can have Tiffany, take us into the marketing side.
I do like investor relations. That's my role.
Yep. And I deal with the day-to-day operations and help with asset management.
Underwriting, acquisitions, asset management.
Cool. Awesome.
Mhm.
And then Tiffany, you handle a lot of the marketing. Is that correct? Like you lead that part of it, the business?
Yes, I lead that part of the business. One thing I can say is just staying consistent, continuing to post on social media, continuing to send out newsletters. We send out, regular emails, regular newsletters. We are tracking who's clicking on what, where people are visiting, what our investors or potential investors want to see more of. So we're looking at our open rates, click rates, where our traffic is coming from. Is it coming from YouTube, Instagram, Facebook? We just have tried a number of different marketing strategies when it comes to raising capital, and we'll utilize lead magnets to get leads in. Honestly, it's just really been the consistency of it all. And when you don't, feel like anyone's watching or listening, they really are.
Mm, very cool. And what are the platforms that you guys are most active on?
So I'm most active on Instagram. Lupe's more active on LinkedIn, and then Noel's most active on Instagram as well. But
Okay.
we're on all platforms, but in terms of seeing us every single day, you'll see us every single day on those particular platforms. We also have YouTube where, you know, our webinars are, but those are our most active platforms.
What's your reasoning for, choosing which platform to be most active on?
Those are the platforms that I believe came most natural to us, and it was easier for us to create content on those platforms. So yeah, that was our reasoning behind it.
Have you noticed any like difference in, the type of investors, or which one works better for you to find more investors? Like, have you done any type of comparison among the platforms?
Yes. So we have found that LinkedIn definitely works best, but I'm now finding that Instagram is actually working pretty well. I had an investor call the other day, and before I could even let the investor know about the opportunity that we have, he was already saying, "Hey, my wife and I have $50,000 and we want to invest it with you." And that was my first call with him, and he hadn't even seen the presentation, but he had already committed to it. So I just say that to say it's that consistency piece. He had said, "I've been watching you for 7 months on Instagram, and I told my wife, we just got an inheritance. Let's call Tiff."
Oh, very cool. All right. And what kind of content do you normally post? And is it the same content that you post on Instagram than you do on LinkedIn, or are they different content?
So it's always the same content. There's specific pieces of content that have performed well. And one specific piece that performs really well for myself is the power of apartment investing or the power of multifamily syndications. Anytime I talk about that, and I can say the exact same thing
Mm,
or make a post into a carousel, like every single time it performs. And at first I thought, I used to try to switch it up and talk about all these different things, but now I just zoom in on that one subject. You know, I may pick out pieces of it, but for the most part, that's what I talk about. I also talk about, you know, certain deals. For example, I haven't been able to talk about this deal because we need to have a pre-existing relationship, you know, and then go into that as well. Like, so those are the two pieces that have really performed well for me. But I can open it up for Lupe and Noel.
Well, what I wanted to mention with that is that a lot of the same posts we will have across the board, but it's always interesting to me that depending on each of us on the platform, it just performs well. It's like we're all on LinkedIn, but Lupe kills LinkedIn. So it's always really interesting to see like the metrics of, how people visit these sites and things of that nature. And I know for me, I think, there's always lifestyle. My lifestyle flex and the marketing is always with my child. I'm always with my son, and I'm kind of really highlighting that and what the freedom of multifamily has done for that purpose. So I think it's really like finding the niche that you really enjoy. So when you're making content, it doesn't seem like another job, because that's another thing when people are like, oh, I got to make content, I need to make a script. But if you make it something relatable, it just naturally just comes out.
I love that. Um, Lupe, do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I am in agreement with both Noel and Tiffany. I do know like certain things like just really people likes it. Like people likes to talk about financial freedom. They want to know like the different ways to achieve financial freedom. That's always like, I find a topic that, gets more interaction. The lifestyle is another one because I think at the end of the day, you need to be able to relate to people more than doing real estate deals, right? Like,
Yep.
what are you as a person, as a human, outside real estate? Because real estate really does not connect us. It's the human piece that connects us, right? So I do talk about like just the things I'm doing, like my own growth. Tim, as you know, I'm on this spiritual growth right now. So I'll be sharing that. I'll be sharing like my military story, my retirement. People love the retirement. The military piece, people really love it. There's something about the patriotism, the flag, the uniform, you know. So I know like those things really perform for me. And also with my son as well, the baby pic post. People
Yes.
just like babies. Yeah.
Right. That's really good. And you know, all of us, right? Like we have different aspects of our lives and you know, whenever and each aspects of our lives will resonate with a certain audience. Right? With Lupe, you being a, you know, new mom, you resonate a lot with moms, right? And then you being in the military, you resonate a lot with the people, you know, who are either currently in the military, who are veterans, right? And then Noel, you know, would resonate with people, you know, the scientists, resonate people who are, you know, into fitness and athletes, you know, and so like each of us have our own story, and it's good to be able to 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 attract those people and connect them to real